Okay, so now we are here with our Delta Lake kind of implementation which we want to do in this particular video. I have already created my one Azure Databricks service, so you can see it's already provisioned actually. And if I click on this launch workspace, you can see I have created my workspace also here with one cluster, which is my all-purpose cluster. So you can see this Maruti Makwana's cluster is up and running. I've created this with one single worker and one single driver kind of thing. So it's just having 28 GB memory and 8 cores associated with that. This is my one cluster which is running right now perfectly fine. I do not have any notebooks as of now in this workspace. So let me just do one thing. Let me create a new folder first. So it's going to be, let's say, a name like Maruti's notebooks. These are going to be my notebooks, and then in this folder I'm going to just click on import. I do not want to create a new notebook right now. I have one Delta Lake architecture implementation kind of official notebook which is actually created by Microsoft itself. I want you to see that notebook because this is one of the greatest example of Delta Lake implementation actually. So I'm going to click on import, and then I can just drag and drop my notebook here. So let me just do that quickly. I'm going to drag and drop this Delta Lake architecture kind of notebook here, and I'm going to click on import. For your kind of information, this particular notebook will be available in the resource of this particular video. So you can also get the same one and you can import it. The name of this folder is Delta Lake architecture, and inside that this Delta architecture is actually my main notebook which I want to use right now. As you can see here, this notebook is one of the official notebook of Microsoft, and it's showing you that in this notebook you are going to learn what? We are going to learn unified structure streaming with batch jobs with Delta Lake. So this is the Delta Lake implementation, and it's also doing structure streaming with that, and combination of both the topics we are going to see in one notebook. I just want to do one last thing right now. That is actually I want to keep my data tab open in the separate tab. So let me just copy this, and I'm going to put it here in the new browser tab. Why I'm keeping my two different tabs open? Because there are chances at couple of places during explanation I need to check that whether in the data tab we have any new DBFS changes in the file system or not. So this is my Databricks file system. I hope you remember that. And as of now in this file system, if I go to these tables and all, there is nothing. It's empty. My file store is totally empty. Also, if I focus on the data, I just have some Hive Metastore kind of default database associated with this. I do not have anything from my side actually. So this is it. I will explain this notebook right now line by line, and then I'm going to show you that how and what we can do here. Also, in this particular notebook, I do not want you to click on run all at all. Remember guys, this is something which is a big no. Do not click on run all at all in this case. Let me attach my cluster first so that we can run this notebook. I'm going to attach and associate my cluster with this notebook right now. You can see it's coming in the drop down, and I selected this now. So this cluster is associated with this notebook. And what this notebook is going to do, it is mentioned in this first markdown where they are saying that in this notebook we'll explore combining streaming and batch processing with the single pipeline. And what we're going to do actually, it's divided into 3 steps actually. They are ingesting some JSON data from the disk, and they're writing it into Delta Lake tables actually. That is going to be my bronze layer of the data. Once the bronze layer data is created, they have some geographical data, which is an additional data which they want to add on in this. So maybe the bronze data is going to have some additional data on top of that, and combination of both the data are going to be transformed and load into the next layer, which is known as silver. So bronze will be there, then some additional data will be there, then combination and joins of both will be applied on the third one, which is my silver layer. The silver layer is going to be ready in this process, and then at the end we have a final aggregated data which is going to be my gold layer of my data with some group count kind of configuration inside that. The transition from bronze to silver to gold is going to happen in this pipeline step by step. And at the end of this, we want some materialized view where we are going to see some graph and charts kind of things with the help of this gold data marts which I created. Not only that, with all these things, we are going to see structured streaming. So there are a couple of streaming jobs which are going to be initiated and started with this, which we will explore one by one. But as of now, let's move on to the first cell of this thing, which is CMD2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this particular cell. When I run this cell, this is my classroom setup kind of a cell. Actually, this notebook has some prerequisite kind of configuration which we need to do first. That setup is going to be done with the help of some other notebooks which are associated with this. You can see right now, we have include/classroom setup. Now this is nothing but one separate notebook which is inside this includes folder. And this include folder is having not one, but multiple notebooks which are inside this. This is a part of this particular sample application, and all the base configuration and the database creation will be done by this classroom setup kind of notebook. And that's what I'm trying to execute here. Once this cell is executed, you can see it's showing me that they have created one user specific database with my kind of name there, and they are showing me all done. In order to visualize this in the separate tab, if I refresh this, I can see the data section where I'm going to have a new database, which is that marutimakwana@hotmail.com, something like that. So this is the database which is created. Is it having any tables right now inside this? The answer is no. We do not have any tables inside this, so this is just one database which is there. And if I focus on DBFS right now, DBFS has created one directory called MNT and user kind of thing, which is also empty. It's just having some empty structures there. We do not have any kind of data inside this as of now, but it's just a base structure which got created with this classroom setup. Once the classroom setup is done, we are moving forward to next piece of cell, which is CMD4. In CMD4, I think if I look at this logic, this Python logic is just creating some variables. I have a variables like activity path, activity bronze path, silver path, and the checkpointing for that. I hope you know checkpointing. This is something which is a mechanism which is must for most of the streaming data to mark the offset of all the checkpoint which are processed during that process. So this checkpointing location is must in the streaming services, and that's what we are doing right now. But yes, all these things are just variables which are going to be declared in memory. So when I execute this thing, this is not going to create any bronze, silver or gold kind of folders right now. You can see in 0.05 seconds this is executed. It's just we are declaring variables. Now whenever I'm going to use the bronze path, I'm going to use this variable. Same way for silver and gold, I'm going to use other variables in my further logic. Then we have one piece of logic which is going to reset this pipeline. So if you have already executed this pipeline once, and if you're trying to do some second time one more thing, then you should reset this. I do not want to reset this right now because I literally do not have anything here. As we know, this is empty right now. So I don't want to literally reset this right now. So that's okay. CMD6, no need to execute first time. Moving forward, we have CMD8. CMD8 is actually that cell which is trying to define some kind of a schema. Now this schema is actually having multiple columns here. You can see we have fields like arrival time, creation time, device, index. Now let me tell you one thing, that this schema is actually based on the data which is provided here. In this notebook, we are going to consume some cell phone accelerometer data, which is generated by some internal system actually. And this cell phone accelerometer data we are going to provide here. Now in order to understand this notebook properly, they have downsampled this data up to only a 3% of the total data. So whatever data totally we have, we're not going to take a whole bunch of data. We'll just take the initial 3% of the data and we'll see how this is going through. And then maybe we can load the whole bunch of data also into this one. Structure is going to be created with this particular schema here, and if I execute this cell, this is going to just define the schema in less than 0.4 seconds. It's done. After this, now the actual job is going to start. After this, we actually want to do the streaming, and you can see here they are specifying that our streaming source directory, which is actually defined by this directory. In this directory, they have 36 JSON files. They have 36 JSON files of around 5,000 records each. Now this kind of 36 JSON files are going to be my source for my data. And what we are going to do here is we are going to read from the directory, and then we are going to stream that data here, and we are going to write the stream into this notebook actually. So this is going to be my, I can say raw data, or I can say my that data which is going to be added into some kind of a bronze structure. I'm going to execute this part, the run cell. This cell is not doing any streaming. Remember, this cell is not doing any streaming. It is just creating one data frame with the name raw events data frame. This data frame has to be initialized first, which is taking data in the form of JSON. from this particular location, and we are also specifying that if I have 36 JSON files, I do not want to take a whole bunch of files in one shot. We want to take one by one file, and that's why max files per trigger is going to be 1. It's like it's going to take one file, then next, then next, then next, and that way it's going to go and take all the 36 files with this. The data frame is initialized, but this is not actually doing anything which is related to streaming right now, because this is just having read stream configuration inside this. Write streaming is not done here. Write streaming is going to be done exactly after this, which is going to be mentioned in my CMD 11. But now before I go to CMD 11, I think this is the time to logically just take a pause here, and I want you to continue this video in the part 2 of this. So let's take a pause, and I think I'll see you in the next video. Make sure your up to 10 kind of cells are already executed, and then only you can go to CMD 11. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti, and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure Cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce skilltech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in skilltech.club. So you will be a part of the skilltech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. Okay, now once CMD 10 is executed, actually, this is just doing a read stream. I want you to remember one thing, that this is actually just reading the data from that particular location which we are specifying, but the reading is not started right now. This is going to start when you are actually going to do the next piece of logic, which is write stream, and that is done inside the CMD 12. That write stream is actually going to fetch the streaming data, and then it's going to start writing this thing in this particular location which you're going to specify. You can see we are specifying activity bronze path. So up to this point we do not have any folder structure here, but exactly once this is done, we are going to have some bronze kind of folder, and the data which is fetched from this particular directory is going to be written into this particular bronze path. While writing the data, we have something which is output mode. Well, we have actually output mode which can be append or complete. Normally append is a mode which we mostly use while dealing with the bronze and silver, and complete is the one which we are going to mostly use when we have some final aggregators, which is obviously going to be in the gold layer. So till gold layer we are going to use append, and in the gold layer we are going to use complete, which are the two different output modes for the streaming write. I am specifying append right now. In order to do the streaming, we need to provide a checkpoint location also, and we are just specifying that folder path which is activity bronze checkpoint. Once this particular cell is going to start, which is CMD 12, this is the actual important cell which is going to do the streaming. So you can see this is initializing the stream, and the moment stream is initialized successfully, we will be able to see one by one picking of the data and then writing into this bronze path. We will be able to observe this thing in this UI. Spark job is started here. It's going to take some time to configure this thing, and once the streaming job is started, you will be able to see this thing in some kind of graphical representation in this. Yeah, you can see that it is started, and you can see this is the process which I want you to observe, guys. This is something which is showing me the streaming data is started. The input data in the processing rate, you'll be able to see here almost 1300 to 1600 records per second we are trying to get and process. And then this is something like, because we have 36 files, each file is having 5000 records, they are going to take the whole bunch of data into this, and then they are going to take one by one file kind of thing. Now what will happen once all the files are fetched and written into this bronze layer? Well, the point is, this is something which is going to be observed, and then after that, once the observation is done, you will get that no data is there, so it's going to be reduced to again back to 0. It started from 0, then right now thousands of records per second are actually getting processed. I want you to observe that the data which we are fetching here is actually in JSON format, but at the time of writing this thing, we are specifying that the writing data into this one is going to be delta format. This delta format is a special format invented with the Delta Lake actually, and we are storing data in the delta format, which is a columnar format associated with this. These delta format files are actually nothing but parquet files which are going to be stored inside this. So once this process is actually done, you'll get 0 here. But while the process is going on right now, I want you to see one thing. I'm going into the other tab where my DBFS is visible. And if I refresh this tab, inside this particular user section where I have my Maruti Makwana database activity, inside that I have a bronze directory, and inside the bronze directory you can see right now these are all parquet files. These are all parquet files which are actually generated based on my delta format kind of data writing which is happening here. If you check, there is a directory called checkpoint also, and these checkpoints are going to have nothing but the offsets and the other metadata stored during this processing. So while the streaming is going on, this is all happening in the background, and they are getting data from the JSON format, but they are writing it here in the delta format, which is nothing but my parquet files which are here. So many parts are generated here. It's all partition data which is stored here, which can be used by Databricks. And this is what I want you to observe. Once all bunch of data is actually processed, the streaming is again back to 0. It means there is no new data available right now. My streaming service is showing me 0, which means that no new data is there. Full data is processed right now. Now this is a different thing, that if I dump some more data into that root directory of that particular location, then maybe I'll get some more data here. But as of now, whatever data which was there, those 36 JSON files with 5,000 records, those are processed successfully actually. If this is done, I'm going to move forward. The next cell, which is CMD14, is just trying to associate some more geographical data into this. So we are creating one more data frame, which is something like geo for lookup kind of data frame. This data is separate, so it has nothing to deal with streaming right now. I'm going to run the cell, and this new data frame is going to be created with only 2 columns, country and country code. And once this geo for lookup data is done, now what I want to do is I want to create my silver layer of my data. Because bronze layer is already there in the delta format, and we have some additional geographical data also, we are going to create silver tables by applying some kind of a joins on this. The logic for the joins are mentioned here in this particular configuration, but let me directly jump into the code. You can see right now the CMD17 is that particular code which is trying to do one more operations of this particular join. So you can see here we have a read stream method. Once again, this read stream is trying to read data in the delta format. It is also loading from activity that bronze path kind of thing. So it means this is the same data which I have written in the previous step will be now read by this one. After this, we are trying to apply those geolocation.country and city kind of columns also into this one. And then we are applying join with geo for lookup kind of data frame, which we have created just in the previous step. The joining of these 2 records, this 2 bunch of data is going to be done with this cell. And if I run this thing, a new data frame, which is past event data frame, is going to be created with this whole schema. After this, the next cell, which is CMD19, is just trying to write this particular query into my silver table. Again, because this is the one which is going to have a write stream, this is the one which is going to start a new streaming. So one streaming is going on here, which is reading from any data and writing into bronze. Now one more stream is going to be started with this, and this stream is going to read from bronze, and this is going to put it into the silver one. You can see I run the cell. This is going to initialize the stream. This is reading from bronze, and this is writing into silver. This time also the output mode is append. The checkpoint folder is provided. If the stream is initialized, this time it's not going to take one file. So it's not going to show me 1000 records per second kind of thing. This time it's going to take a whole bunch of data in one shot. You can see right now it's showing me that we have 25,000. We have 25,000 records which are taken in the first shot itself. So the data is taken in one shot actually. Almost 25,000 records are taken first, and then suddenly within few seconds it is again going back to 0. So this time whatever bunch of data which you have in this particular bronze, that is taken, and now that is going to be processed further into silver. That is what which is happening here. If I refresh this particular DBFS folder tab, then this is going to show me this time that inside this users and activity, with bronze, we are going to have silver also. In silver, they are going to have whole bunch of data and it is going to be much more organized than the first one. So I have only 3-4 Parquet files which are partitioned here based on the default size of the Parquet data ingestion. This is going to be partitioned, but yeah, this is actually those 3-4 files which are getting generated here with the help of the second streaming which we are doing from bronze to silver. Once the bronze to silver is done, there are some extra cells which are there. This cell is just going to show me FSLS, means file system listing actually, and those 4 Parquet files which I showed you in this separate tab. These are the same 4 Parquet files which are visible here. And you can see the size of the file is almost 128 MB nearby kind of thing. Then each file of this 100 MB kind of size is actually having thousands of records inside this. I also want to have some kind of a logic here which shows me that how many active streamings which are going on. And you can see it's going to show me the 2 active stream. The first stream which is taking from any data to bronze, and this is something which is taking from bronze to silver. Both are right now live, both are running. Yes, obviously if you cancel the streaming, there is a button here. When you have the streaming going on, you can cancel the streaming also. So if you cancel the streaming, then it will be stopped, but I'm not canceling this right now. I want this is going to be going on, so that is fine. Once this bronze and silver both are done, it's the time to deal with the gold table. The gold table are mostly going to have a final data mart kind of a data, which is going to be focusing on some business functionality. Now, because we are implementing Delta Lake, there are chances that you're going to have multiple various versions of a goal tables which are created. I'm going to show you one of the goal table variation, which is going to have group by hour, GT and country code kind of columns associated with that. And my logic is here. We are trying to associate group by hourly, so we are taking a 60 minutes kind of ratio with that, and we are also going to give a count of that thing per hour. That is what which is going to be there. I'm using window, I'm using drop, and then this is one particular logic where I'm going to do read stream and write stream both. This is going to be my third and the final stream, which is actually going to read data from silver. That's why I'm specifying activity silver path, and this is going to write data into group count path inside the gold, which is going to be my final gold layer of this. If I run this thing, my third and the final streaming is going to be started, and that's going to pick the data from silver and it's going to put the data with all these aggregators which we're applying into the gold one. Now this logic can be anything, depends upon your data. You can write your different kind of logic, but whatever logic is there, it should be based on some business functionalities, and that's what we always do in the gold layer. Once my streaming is started, once I expand this thing, this is going to show me that this is the third and the final streaming which is started. This is also going to take a whole bunch of data in one shot, and then this is going to apply some aggregators on that. Using the aggregators is going to write the group count kind of final data into a gold layer of that thing. The batch data is going to show me here very soon. Yes, it is taking almost 6,000 records per second kind of thing here. Here it is like batch duration which is visible, and they are showing me that 70 distinct keys they have found. It means in whatever data which I have, when I do group by kind of hourly, I think I'm getting 70 different hours of data into this one. So 70 different records are going to be generated. Obviously, compared to bronze data, gold layer data is going to be smaller, is going to be less in case of amount actually. So these are only 70 records which are finally generated at the end of the streaming. Again, if I go back to my separate tab of DBFS, and if I refresh this time with the bronze and silver, I'm going to have a gold layer also, and in that I'm going to have group count kind of thing, which is just nothing but 70 separate records. This is actually one Parquet file for each record kind of thing, and then all these records are nothing but my 70 distinct keys based records which are stored with this. Now once your Delta Lake is done, once your gold layer is generated, you can create tables from that. I'm just using Spark SQL and trying to create a new structured table now. Up to this point the data was not fully structured, but if I run this cell, this is going to get my data. Using the data is going to show me that okay, the new data frame is created, and they have created one table from that with the name group count, where this table is going to be visible in my database. So if I go to my data section, inside this my database, I will have a group count kind of a table, and this group count is my final organized structured data, which is going to have those columns which we specified, GT, country code, and the hourly count for this particular per hour. And if I scroll down into this particular table, then total I think 70 records are there. These are those 70 distinct keys which we got, and this is one table which is generated in my gold layer. I hope you're able to understand this configuration right now, and this is your one table. Now there are chances you can again deep dive into your silver and you can generate more version and more variations of this kind of gold with different aggregators. This is possible that you can generate n times of different data marts. Actually, you can generate multiple times. Finally, this cell is just going to show me the same result which I have shown you in the separate tab. Those 70 records will be visible here in this select star from table name kind of result, and the result will be visible here. And then with this, when I have this kind of materialized view kind of requirement, whatever data which is coming here, because this is Databricks kind of notebook, I have a particular plot options which I can configure here. So in spite of this data frame kind of a table, if I want to generate some kind of a bar chart, or I want to associate that, okay, I want to configure the plot options where I want to make sure that this is going to be showing me country code wise segregations, and then I also want to specify that the count is also going to be visible in the keys, then I can get this kind of materialistic view for those data which is generated with that. You can generate it as per your configuration. You can change the plot options and you can get more inside details from this one. Same way, if you want to do some data profiling onto this one, that is also going to be available in the separate tab. This full configuration is showing me that from bronze to silver to gold kind of transition is happen here. Now this is still not done. I have few more cells which are there in this particular notebook, and this cells, if you try to execute by yourself, it's going to take some more time, but you can see right now they are trying to load the whole bunch of data now in this notebook. If this can handle this 36 files of 5,000 records, then they are trying to add 4 batches of data, which is going to have around 1,70,000 records in each actually. And this kind of data they are trying to load in this. Let me just run the cell for this read stream. Let me just run the cell for this SQL also. This is not very important for me. But then after this, when I'm going to have this batch load data into bronze table, what this is going to do, just see this here guys, the whole bunch of bronze layer data, they are going to put it into the bronze path. Now I hope you agree with me that if we are going to dump this data into a bronze path, then automatically this bronze data will be picked by the silver path. So this is something which is my streaming service which is going to take care of this. If I run this cell, this data is going to be added into this bronze path. But is my silver streaming, which is still going on, is going to pick that thing? Answer is 100% yes. Once I add this 4 batches of data, 170,000 records per batch, if I'm going to add this thing here, and if I scroll up to my silver streaming, which is happening here, I think, yeah, this was my silver table, which was reading from the bronze. If I wait here, this is going to show me that they are going to receive few more bunch of records here. You can see this was the initial data which we have added. Now this is a very small thing. With all these things, we were not receiving any records, and just now when we have added this 170,000 kind of 4 batches, I got more than 300,000 records in this. I got more than 300,000 records, and that spike is showing me that yes, the whole bunch of data is actually added here. Now very soon this will again become 0, because this streaming service is enough capable to handle this thousands and millions of records per second actually. Very soon they have taken all this data and then it is again processed. Obviously from this raw data, this is going to go and associate with the gold also. In the gold layer also I can see that thing. So you dump the data in bronze, it will flow to silver, and then it will flow to the gold also, and then you can see that another batch of data is added into this gold layer. And then maybe if I run the query, I'm going to get some more counts, some more associations with this. This one notebook is giving you end-to-end flow of the pipeline from bronze to silver to gold, and it is also showing you that how your read stream, write stream of the structured streaming is something which you can perform. It's very interesting notebook. I strongly suggest you to go through this thing to understand the Delta Lake architecture properly. I hope it was useful. Thank you so much.